Okay. Are we good? I'm killing Imperius and AC Shadows to cope. Probably a keyboard. No, this time it wasn't the cat. Actually, I don't know what happened. OBS just like crashed and that's it. All right, we're good.
And at that time, well, I still am. I am still a Republican. I am, bless his heart, a Simpson Republican that believes in working together across the aisle. And my question, having looked at Musk's Doge, whatever website.
Anything else you guys fear Trump will do that I could cross-reference with here? I don't know. There's a lot to take in. I'm sure as things progress, we'll give you something else to cross off your list, okay?
You are a lawyer. Where is this fraud? Who, what company, what organization, what personnel
I'll just start reading some of
are
it.
we going after?
I'll just start reading some of it. I'll just start reading it right now if you'd like me to. I'll just focus on USAID spending right here.
Oh my God.
Spending, I said actual fraud.
This is what it is. This is the spending associated with the fraud. This is the fraud. Spending is the fraud.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Yes.
Spending isn't fraud, dude. That's not what the word means. That's not what fraud means. Oh, goodness. Martial law process starts at 4:20. Yeah, we're going to see, man. We're going to see. Welcome, Wolf Glenn. We're going to see. We've got, what, T-minus 36 hours? 70, what is it? 72 hours? I can't math right now. I'm sorry. I'm tired.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not fraud. It's spending that you don't like, as somebody in the audience pointed out. But I'm sure that Democrat threats of violence, that's the real reason why she's canceling future in-person town halls, and not because her own constituents won't buy her bullshit and let her gaslight them. But I want to talk about Brian Mast from Florida. He has actually vowed, to his credit, to hold not just one, but a series of town halls to hear out constituent concerns. And I'm hoping that he actually follows through with these town halls. And the reason why I say that I hope that he does that is because the ones that he's already attended didn't go so well. He got humiliated.
We are kidnapping people, even trafficking them to another country.
Yep.
To keep them imprisoned. That is not how deportation works. No trial, no proof, no paper trail. We are the terrorists in this situation. How can you support
True.
in these actions? And does this contradict your belief in the Constitution?
And I support 100% deporting the individuals that are in the United States of America illegally. 100%.
Wait, is that a joke? Trump asked, why did Dems put Hitler's birthday on Easter? Like, I'm actually asking because I genuinely don't know if this is a meme or not. Because this is actually something Trump would do. So, okay, joking. If you were to tell me, okay, if you were to tell me that that was real, I would have literally been like, yep, no notes. And I would have not fact checked that, okay? If you would have told me that that was real, I would have been like, yep, sounds about right. And then moved on, okay?
The rest of them. That's the thing again. This is something that the previous administration could have done. They chose not to. It's a good way to tie in something else.
Yeah, shame on you.
Because we're Floridians, I'm going to tie in FEMA to this.
What does FEMA have to do with anything?
Still struggling with knowing Where is this going? We know that tariffs generally bring more costs to us, not to the countries. So please, can Congress do something to hold off the volatility?
Stand up to Trump.
The administration?
I can give you specifics in agriculture. I can give you specifics in manufacturing. In the last year, the United States of America imported roughly 800,000 vehicles from the EU. EU imported roughly 150,000 automobiles from the United States of America. That's a trade imbalance, and that's a direct result of what they do with tariffs. To give you one specific example, if you took a Tahoe at the most basic sticker price in the United States of America, Tahoe $59,000, Norway $100,000. That would be an example of where they're tariffing countries.
Okay, but the Tahoe pre-tariff would have been like 49,000, not 59. What are you talking about? I'm waiting for your political start looking like Jordan's, where they demolish tables and pull out guns on live TV.
So in case you couldn't make out what he was saying, his excuse for Trump's tariffs is the trade deficits that we have with other countries, which makes no sense because I don't understand how it's somehow inherently unfair if we buy more from a country than they buy from us. It's not their fault that we don't make something that they want. It's not their fault that our oligarchs chose to ship our manufacturing jobs to their countries to...
Right, and like also, who cares? If we buy more from China or whatever, then like, who cares? We are a consumerist country. This is a consumerist economy as it stands right now. Like, that's how this works. And if you have anyone to complain to, it would be the capital class. Maybe F-150s don't fit in the Europeans, in the European old small streets. Yeah, that's true.
Exploit cheap labor. People aren't buying it. We know this is bullshit and just quite frankly fucking stupid. And they're especially pissed off because they're worried about their 401ks, which this is affecting. I mean, it's not necessarily a loss for young people with 401ks since there's enough time for those funds to recover. But I mean, if you're 65 and you're about to retire and your 401k drops by 10 or 20%, that's going to hurt. And obviously that's going to piss some people off, which is why they were there and not buying the shitty excuses that he was giving to them. But a common theme throughout all of these town halls is that none of these politicians offer satisfactory answers to any of the questions constituents ask, assuming they're even allowed to ask questions in the first.
I mean, what does America even manufacture besides guns, tanks, porn, soda, and tariffs? I think that's pretty much it. Jazz? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we got big trucks. That's about it. Big SUVs that don't don't fit in the streets of Europe. So, yeah, that's about it. That's all we do. Guns, basically. The majority of it on that list is just guns and weapons, right? Like we're like the world's like biggest arms dealer, essentially.
First place, because what's happening to this country is indefensible. Everything we're seeing is inexcusable, and they're part of the problem. So I'm expecting these town halls to happen less and less often because people are only going to grow more angry as things continue to get worse. Having said that, if they keep happening, I will continue to report on them because it's very cathartic to see people yell at corrupt politicians. That I'm always going to be here for.
Nice. Okay. We got to run through these headlines. Yeah, hypocrisy. Yeah, add that to the list. Obesity. The Pentagon is working on making Trump's vision of an Iron Dome, a U.S. Iron Dome, a reality because reasons. The Defense Department will soon brief the president on possible outcomes for a planned missile defense system that could cost hundreds of billions of dollars. Because that's what we need to spend. You want to talk about like waste and abuse, okay? You want to talk about waste and abuse in the government? Like, this is just grotesque. The Defense Department officials will soon brief President Trump on a variety of options for him to fulfill his pledge to protect the United States with something modeled after Israel's Iron Dome, which incidentally we also have like a massive hand in that. According to U.S. officials, experts familiar with the initiative. Like former President Reagan's push for Strategic Defense Initiative, which was proposed to protect the U.S. from Soviet nuclear missiles, Trump's call for an Iron Dome for America, often called, or more often referred to as a Golden Dome, Jesus, is a signature endeavor that could sew together multiple air defense systems with the idea of keeping the country and perhaps eventually American assets around the world safe. The Strategic Defense Initiative, which has become known by its mocking nickname Star Wars, is never operational, and it all was but canceled years after Reagan left office. Trump's plan is seen as more realistic than SDI was given technological advances since the 80s, but the biggest vision the administration is contemplating, including stopping nuclear missiles fired from another continent, would most likely be extremely expensive and take years. No missile defense could withstand a barrage of 6,000 nukes from Russia, plus whatever China has. It's a waste of money, even if it's a waste of money, because, like, yeah. I mean, I don't know, like, how many nukes Russia has, and I don't know how many nukes China has, but, like, yeah. The Intercontinental Ballistic Nuclear Program, nuclear missiles Reagan wanted to protect against, can now be stopped to some extent, at least in theory. Israel's Iron Dome has largely been seen as successful in its job of warding off small rockets and artillery attacks. It is a clear and easier task than any U.S. system would. However, a country less than 1% large as the United States to protect from enemies next to it, rather than oceans away. Trump's Golden Dome would most likely be a patchwork of systems that would need to stop a variety of threats, including cruise missiles fired from ships off the coast, ballistic missiles launched from countries such as Russia or China, attacks from drones inside the continental U.S., and state-of-the-art hypersonic missiles that can travel hundreds of miles in a single minute. They can't launch their whole stockpile. We just want to stop the first wave so ours will hit and they can't shoot again. We need more nuke defense, but handing Trump's fascist BS is not important. Handling Trump's fascist BS is more important. Some elements of the Golden Dome would involve simply repurposing existing parts of the U.S. arsenal, such as surface-to-air defenses, destroyers, fighter jets, smaller scale moves like that can be completed in months or even weeks. But depending on the option Trump chooses, the U.S. might find itself hundreds of billions of dollars to develop new technologies that would be part of the defense system years down the road. I mean, like, yeah, this is such nonsense, man. Plus, we fired all the nuke scientists, so, yeah. I mean, like, okay, good luck. Oh, don't worry, they're prepared for that. I don't know what the Russian plan is, honestly. Look, if there's nuclear war between Russia and the United States, like, nobody wins that. Like, nobody wins that. Nobody wins that. Trump's executive order requires the Pentagon to come up with an initial blueprint for the Iron Dome for America by mid-April. Those plans are what will be briefed to him in the coming days. His order will also require that at least some elements of the initiative be operational by the end of next year. Getting much of the Golden Dome in place by the end of next year would be unrealistic, said Mark Montgomery, a retired Navy admiral, who is now senior director of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, a national security think tank in Washington, generally seen aligned with neocons, who hope Trump will go ahead regardless. Okay. I know this is useless, but, like, okay. Sure, I hope so, because he's a neocon. Anyways, yeah, this is what we're gonna waste hundreds of billions on. No healthcare, though. No healthcare, so screw you, American citizen. Google loses ad tech monopoly case. This is actually interesting. The U.S. proved Google willfully engaged in a series of anti-competitive acts, which, like, yeah, Yeah, no kidding. The U.S. Department of Justice has won its antitrust case against Google, which accused the company of operating a monopoly in the advertising technology industry. The ruling, which marks Google's most recent antitrust loss following its search case, says the tech giant's anti-competitive practice in two key markets substantially harmed publishers and users on the web. Plaintiffs have proven that Google has willfully engaged in a series of anti-competitive acts to acquire and maintain monopoly power in the publisher ad server and ad exchange markets for open web display advertising. Virus Up Ask Jeeves. Oh man, now that's a name I haven't heard in a minute. I used to love asking Jeeves random shit. The internet used to be fun. True. Ask Jeeves is something I haven't seen in like a minute and a half. I saw an old ad for AOL Kids while watching old Nickelodeon shows today. What? Wow. I still have an old AOL CD, by the way. It's somewhere in here, in my room. I still have an old AOL CD. Judge Brinkman found Google liable under Section 1 and 2 of the Sherman Act due to its practices in the ad tech tool and exchange spaces, but dismissed the argument that Google had operated a monopoly in ad networks. We won half this case and will appeal the other half, said Leanne Mohan, Google's vice president of regulatory affairs, said in a statement on The Verge. The court found that our advertiser tools and our acquisitions, such as DoubleClick, don't harm competition. We disagree with the court's decision regarding our publisher tools. Publishers have many options, and they choose Google because our ad tech tools are simple, affordable, and effective. Similar to Judge Amit Mehta's ruling in the Google search case, Judge Brinkman also warned Google over its failure to preserve internal communication, citing an internal messaging app that deleted records of chats between employees. She adds that while this may be sanctionable, the court didn't need to sanction a company in this case, as it was able to make its decision using testimony and admitted evidence. Over the course of 3 weeks, the DOJ argued that Google illegally monopolized 3 separate markets in the ad tech space. That for publisher ad tools, advertisers, ad networks, and the ad exchange that facilitates transactions. They also argued that Google illegally tied together their publisher ad server and ad exchange in violation of antitrust law. The upshot, according to the government, is that Google collects monopoly profits at the expense of publishers and advertisers who have worse experience with no real alternatives. I.e. a monopoly. Google, on the other hand, argued that the government's whole view of the market was contrived and not based in reality. Google's tools help publishers and advertisers make money, and the fact that it has tools in different parts of the market just helps them work well together for consumers' benefit. Google has legitimate business reasons for its behavior, and the government simply wants to dictate how it can do business. Yeah, sure. That's funny. Not the article. Chat. The decision comes as Google and DOJ are getting ready to meet in another federal court across the river in DC for remedies phase of the search trial. In that case, the DOJ under the Biden administration proposed breaking up Google by spinning out its Chrome browser and forcing it to syndicate its search results. Huh. I would like to see what that would look like. I wonder what it says when you type that. I don't know. That's a good question. April 20th is indeed Hitler's birthday. True. Welcome, Nadia. I think we got a couple of things to discuss, and then we're out of here. So there is a new update on this here. So the administration appealed, obviously, the order from Judge Zinnes. The new Fourth Circuit, this was a few hours ago, rejects Trump's administration appeal of Judge Zinnes' order to facilitate Kilmar Abrego Garcia's release. We shall not micromanage the efforts of a fine district judge attempting to implement the Supreme Court's recent decision. That's right here. The government is asserting a right to stash away residents of this country in a foreign prison without the semblance of due process that is the foundation of our constitutional order. This should be shocking not only to judges but to the intuitive sense of liberty that Americans far removed from courthouses still hold dear. I mean, like, yeah. It is difficult in some cases to get the very heart of the matter, but in this case, it's not hard at all. The government is asserting a right to stash away residents of this country in foreign prisons without the semblance of due process that is the foundation of constitutional order. Further, it claims the essence that because it has rid itself of custody, that there's nothing that can be done. I mean, like, essentially what they're saying is that the argument that the government is making that, like, there's just nothing we can do, like, what we mean by facilitate means, like, well, if El Salvador puts, brings Kilmar Umbergo Garcia at our doorstep, I guess we'll facilitate. I guess we'll give him a ride, right? Like, no, that's not how that works, as clarified by the appeals court. The Supreme Court's decision, however, does not, however, allow the government to do essentially nothing. It requires the government to facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from custody in El Salvador and ensure his case is handled as it would have had been had he not been improperly sent to El Salvador. Abrego Garcia, supra slip up on facilitate is an active verb. It requires steps to be taken, as the Supreme Court has made perfectly clear. See Abrego Garcia supra. I guess this is the reference point. The government should be prepared to share what it can concerning the steps it has taken and prospect of further steps. The plain and active meaning of the word cannot be diluted by its constriction, as the government would have it, to a narrow term of art. So essentially what they're saying is, like, the government's argument is BS. Quad Bennett, welcome. Marjorie Taylor Greene town hall protest. Yeah, we covered a little bit earlier, but that's it was a disaster. Everything costs near double the rest of the world in Norway, and their pay is so high they can handle it. The Iron Dome is rubbish and largely useless. It's also incredibly expensive. This just in, scientists found life on a faraway planet. Really? Possible signs. Wow. Wow. If there was like life on this faraway planet, I'm sure it would not want anything to do with us right now. They found a chemical compound in the air that algae may produce. Interesting. Every conservative accusation is a confession. When they say Russia's nukes are too unmaintained to launch, that means that's the state of the U.S. nuclear arsenal. Elon is thrilled. Well, Elon can be the first one to go and check that out. Post haste. Alien invasion coming. The executive possesses enormous power to prosecute and deport, but with powers comes constraint. If today the executive claims the right to deport without due process and in disregard of court orders, what assurances there would be that it will not deport American citizens? They've already said they would, and claim responsibility to bring and then disclaim responsibility to bring them home. And what assurances shall there be that the executive will not train its broad discretionary powers upon its political enemies? They already said that they would be more than happy to do that. The threat, even if not the actuality, would always be present, and the executive's obligation to take care of the laws be faithfully executed would lose its meaning. U.S. Constitution, Article 2. Today, both the U.S. and El Salvador's government disclaim any authority and or responsibility to return Abrego Garcia. See President Trump participate in a bilateral meeting. We are told that neither government has the power to act. The result will be to leave matters generally and Abrego Garcia specifically in an interim limbo without recourse to law of any sort. Launch the oligarchs into space campaign 2025. Agreed. I feel like that when the cicadas emerge every summer. Now the branches come too close, grinding irrevocably against one another in a conflict that promises to diminish both. This is a losing proposition all around. The judiciary will lose much from the constant intimidations of its illegitimacy, to which by dint of custom and detachment we can only sparingly reply. The executive will lose much of public perception of its lawlessness and its attendant contagions. The executive may succeed for a time in weakening the courts, but over time history will script the tragic gap between what was and what might have been, and law in time will sign its epitaph. So yeah, I mean, like that I mean, like that. That's all. Like that's pretty freaking direct. Like that's as direct as you can get. In his defense, he was a homeless puppy and ate bugs to survive. We're trying to break him of that. Oh no. The cicadas? I'm still about 7 minutes behind. No problem. Syndicating search results sounds a lot like they're just mandating the dissolution of Google. Get up. All right. I'm going to get up. I think I'm hungry, but not enough to eat a bug. Same. All right. I'm going to get up. Chocolate with fish? No. And after I get up, I'm going to finish this last one here. One second. Let it be known for the record that I am getting up. Gordon Ramsay would beg to differ. Here in New Orleans, the local Audubon Insectarium has a cafe that serves insects. I've had fried grasshopper there before, and it's pretty dope, actually. Very satisfying crunch. Nope. Can't do it. Should redeem those more often. Did you hear about the giant pile of dead bodies visible on satellite footage by CCOT? I have seen the reports of this. We're just not 100% confirmed. I mean, like, nonetheless, like the conversation shouldn't steer away, from the fact that, like, this is a nasty, horrifying concentration camp. I just don't know if the images that we're seeing are actual, like, bodies or blood. We just don't know. And I still don't. I think that it shouldn't still change the conversation. In France, they have cheese with worm larvae. What? Yeah, RFK Jr. Might have a comment on that. RFK looks like a week-old gas station hot dog sausage with worms himself. Oh. All right. The Supreme Court is to hear arguments on Trump's bid to start implementing his plan to end birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court will hear arguments next month on President Trump's bid to start enforcing executive order that seeks to end automatic citizenship for some children born on American soil. How can manifesting evidence of Holocaust change the conversation? It doesn't. I just don't know. Like, we don't know where these images came from as far as, like, if it's actually showing what we think it's showing. Does that make sense? And I think Brandon probably put it best. I think we should I think we should hold off, and yeah, I know it's from Google Maps. We should hold off on, like, what exactly that is before we say something definitive. Because the reality is, like, we just don't know. If I had to the last half of the Majority Report where Brandon talks about this, I would refer you to that. They may put it back up tomorrow or something. I'm not convinced by that image. Lack of communication from imprisoned people is far more convincing than a blur of pixels. Yeah, I think it's more disturbing. I think it's more disturbing that they are not allowing the U.S. senator to have access to Abrego Garcia. They're not they're not even allowing a phone call. They're not showing any proof of life for Abrego Garcia. Like that is pretty concerning. And I think it was yesterday or the day before we talked about this. Yeah. Hello. He could also be in such extremely bad shape that I want to show him. Hello. GPU driver issue? I don't know. It just OBS just knocked off the connection. Yeah, we're back. Like it's like OBS is working, but the connection just like dropped. But that's okay. I had the Circle of Doom. The surf's dropped too. Yeah, maybe it's just OBS. Makita has decided that she's going to say hi. Right, Kitty? Can we see her up close? How about the big screen? Look, Kitty, you're on the big screen. Yes. Can you guys hear her purring? No. No, maybe the microphone's too it's not set up for that. Winnie Rose. Bozy. Ow, come on, cat. Yeesh. All right. Let's finish this up. But the court, at least for now, formally assessing the constitutionality of Trump's attempt to eliminate the right to birthright citizenship. Rather, the court will consider a more technical issue, but one with more potentially momentous consequences. The authority One second. Okay. I was a child of a non-citizen born on American soil. Depending, this may affect you or it may not. Depending, Nadia. I've been in and out. Did you see the ICE detention of a U.S. citizen in Florida today? No. Can you send me a link? But one with potentially more momentous consequences, the authority of lower court judges to issue broad injunctions that block a president's policies nationwide. 3 federal judges separately issued nationwide injunctions against Trump's birthright citizenship order. They said it blatantly violates the 14th Amendment, which has long been understood to guarantee citizenship virtually anyone born in the U.S. Last month, the Trump administration filed the emergency appeal asking the justices to narrow or lift those injunctions. The administration argued that the district judge had no authority to issue sweeping rulings that block policies nationwide. In a terse order Thursday, the Supreme Court agreed to hold a special oral argument on May 15th on the question of district judges' authorities to issue such ruling. It is rare for the courts to schedule arguments on emergency appeals, and the move is a sign that the justices are taking the Trump administration's position seriously. If the High Court agrees with Trump that judges overstep their authority, it could allow the administration to begin immediately enforcing its citizenship policy in some parts of the country. The policy, announced in the executive order issued on the first day of Trump's second term, seeks to deny citizenship to children born on American soil to parents who are undocumented immigrants or in the country on short-term visas. Many legal experts say the policy directly conflicts with the Supreme Court precedent and language of the 14th Amendment, which says that all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. are subject to jurisdiction thereof and are citizens of the United States. The court's eventual... So this is like going forward, essentially, is what I'm understanding. Nationwide injunctions have stymied a broad spectrum of Trump administration policies since the start of his second term. The Trump's Justice Department has argued that federal district judges should have the ability to block policies only in the geographic district where the judge is located or with regard to the people or groups that sued. Years of experience have shown that the executive branch cannot properly perform its function if any judge anywhere can enjoin every presidential action anywhere. But, like, that's literally the point of the judiciary. But, okay. The supporters of nationwide injunctions argue that they're only reasonable way to address unlawful government actions. Yeah. Mexican, he says his first language is Mayan. Really? Like not Nahuatl? That is very rare. So this is the story. A U.S.-born man held for ICE under Florida's new anti-immigration law. Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez, a 20-year-old citizen, was being held in Leon County Jail on Thursday with charge with illegally entering Florida as an unauthorized alien, even as supporters waived his U.S. birth certificate in court. A Florida Highway Patrol trooper arrested Lopez Gomez after a traffic stop in which he was a messenger. The 20-year-old is set to remain in jail for the next 48 hours, waiting federal immigration officials to pick him up, despite his first-degree misdemeanor charge being dropped. His mother, Sebastian Gomez Perez, burst into tears at the sight of her son, who virtually appeared for his first hearing at Leon County Courthouse. She left the courtroom distraught because she could do nothing to help her son, who was born and lives in Grady County. I wanted to tell them, where are you going to take him? He's from here, said his mother. His mother told Phoenix in Spanish moments after exiting the courtroom. I felt immense helplessness because I couldn't do anything, and I'm desperate to get my son out of there. She continued through tears. It hurt so much. I'm sorry I can't. A lieutenant working with the Leon County Jail didn't allow the mother to see Lopez Gomez on Thursday and told her officials were working with ICE on how to proceed. But, like, he's a citizen. What is... what is there to discuss? The floodgates are opening. Yep. Yep. He's from here. Leon County Judge LaShawn Riggins held Lopez's birth certificate up to the light after community advocate Silva Alba silently waved the document in courtroom. I'm looking at it and feeling it and holding up to the light. I can clearly see the watermark to show indeed it is an authentic document. Based on her inspection of his birth certificate and social security card, Riggins said she found no probable cause for the charge. However, state prosecutor insisted that the court lacked jurisdiction over Gomez's release because the Gestapo had formally asked the jail to hold him. This court does not have any jurisdiction other than what I've already done. So, yeah. The 20-year-old's first language is Tzotzil, a Mayan language, and he took a long pause when he was asked if he wanted to hire a private attorney or obtain a public defender. He lived in Mexico from the time he was 1 year old until 4 years old. When he returned to Georgia, his mother told Phoenix. The Homeland Security Investigations Office in Tampa issued a 48-hour ICE detainer on Thursday. An ICE officer whose name and phone number appeared to the detainer refused to speak with Phoenix. He hasn't committed a crime for them to hold him, and that's what I don't understand. I'm feeling bad because my daughters are asking me how their brother is. It hurts because I can't do anything for their brother. At issue is a recently passed law that a federal judge is temporarily barred from the state from enforcing, further calling into question the validity of his arrest. This is all so freaking wild. Like, from beginning to end, this is all so wild. So, like, there's literally nothing, no reason as to why this man needs to be held at all. First language is indigenous to the Americans, unlike English. Yep. There was a Florida shooting at the Florida University. Yep. The latest update on that is, I believe 2 people may have died. And the person that did the shooting was the son of a deputy. Again, we have ICE acting like jackbooted thugs without any oversight by courts. Yep. They're literally the Gestapo. Oh, 5 people died now at this point? Jesus. I was just reading the feed on that. Holy yikes. At issue is a recently passed law that a federal judge has temporarily barred the state from enforcing. So, like, this is all moot, right? Further calling into question the validity of his arrest, the charge, and detention. Governor DeSantis signed SB 4C into law on February 14th, and District Court Judge Kathleen Williams blocked its enforcement on April 14th. This law makes it a misdemeanor for undocumented immigrants over the age of 18 unknowingly enter Florida after entering the United States by eluding or avoiding examination or inspection by immigration officers. So, like, I mean, but he's a citizen. The 2 other men who were in the car with Lopez Gomez, the driver and the passenger, also had their first appearances on the same charges. The driver is also charged with driving without a license. The state trooper pulled over the car Lopez Gomez was in because the driver was going 78 on a 65. According to the arrest, Lopez Gomez gave his Georgia state ID to the trooper, who wrote in his report that Lopez Gomez said he was in the country illegally. So that sounds like bullshit. That sounds like bullshit. They've already named the shooter. He was a political science major and son of a deputy. He used his mom's retired service weapon. Jesus. Wednesday marked the second time Lopez Gomez has been arrested. The Grady County Sheriff's Office took him into custody on Sunday and charged him with driving under the influence. His mother said ICE also requested that the Georgia jail hold Lopez Gomez, but he won release after his family showed officials his birth certificate and social security card. Thomas Kennedy, a political analyst for the Florida Immigration Coalition, met Gomez Perez at the courthouse. He said Lopez Gomez's case is exactly what his organization has been warning lawmakers would happen. It's really just sad seeing the mother distraught over her son, and the fact that she acknowledged this very likely case of racial profiling. Yep, 100%. Against a citizen who can't speak English, she said in a phone call interview with the Phoenix. Yeah. Lawmakers are trying to make that happen. Yep. Yeah, this is the intended effect. No doubt. This is the intended effect. We're having red snapper. Nice. And kale and potatoes. Nice. Warning lawmakers won't help. Nope. No, this is the exact effect. This is the desired outcome, actually. You are 100% correct. Apples with wasabi? Nope, can't be me. And a donut with bacon. A donut with bacon makes more sense than apple and wasabi. I'll be honest. A donut with bacon makes more sense, but I can't. Maybe it's just because I just can't deal with the spice. I don't know. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for being patient despite our couple of hiccups there. I had the donut before. It was cool. It was good. Nice. Thank you all for being patient. Hopefully that doesn't happen next week. Folks, next Thursday, there will be no stream. Next Thursday, the 24th, there will be no stream. And this Saturday, there will be a movie event. No, I just got here. It's okay. Nice to stumble on you, mate. Thank you. Zeoduk, oh, there's some famous donuts with bacon at some baseball stadium. Born a Cuban prior to naturalization, first language is Spanish, and I'm sure gender issues give me more priority as a target. No doubt about it. If they can deport and if they can arrest and hold a U.S. citizen that was born here, yeah, I mean, like yeah. And it's disgusting that this is where we're at. But yeah, you're right, Nadia. Have a good weekend, you too. Time to have some leftover chicken. Appreciate it. Bye, chat, and bye, Mr. Truth. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it, folks. If you want to support the channel, do the things. Do all the things. I appreciate you guys. Keep hitting that like button, subscribe, follow us here on Twitch. Thank you. I appreciate it. Monetize the YouTube channel so I can super chat. Help. Yeah, help. Help us get to 500. And we'll do that. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that, Nadia. We're almost there, by the way. We're almost there. We are about 100 and 140 before we can do that. Thank you, BCat. Appreciate it. Ryan Gosling and Kirsten Dunst. Appreciate you all being here. Thank you all. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hasser, for modding the chat. It's time for me to get out of here. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.